Hey everyone, welcome to Pie's Kitchen. So the holiday season is coming up, and last week I showed you an edible gift recipe on Hot Thai Kitchen. If you missed it, I'll put the link right up here. Today I have another recipe for you, and this one I actually made for all of my friends a couple years ago for Christmas, and they all loved it. They're these date truffles. So it's dates with chocolate and nuts and dried fruit and spices. It's so good. And they're also vegan and gluten-free and all that jazz. So you can give them to all of your friends regardless of their dietary needs. Let's get started. So the main ingredient is, of course, dates. So I've got here medjool dates, and I like medjool dates because the texture tends to be a little softer than the other sort of no-name dates. I'm not sure what variety they are. Other ones will work too. I'm just saying I prefer this one. Now I'm gonna start by processing these in my food processor. Now I gotta be really careful here. My food processor is anything but powerful. So I'm gonna do this just half at a time. So once it starts to ball up in the food processor, that's all I need. I don't need it to be completely fine. I'm gonna be mashing it with my hands later on. So this is totally fine. Goodness. And now my add-ins, and this is where you can really customize it. I've got a mix of dried fruit and nuts here, and if you've got friends with nut allergy, you can totally do this with seeds instead of nuts, all right? So I've got pistachios, walnuts, cashews, dried apricots, and dried cherries. I particularly chose dried cherries because they're tart, and I would recommend choosing dried fruits that have a tartness to them, and it will help balance the sweetness of the dates really well. Okay, so don't go with all raisins because that's just sort of sweet on sweet. And now we're gonna make these chocolatey, and this is where the truffle part comes in. I've got some cocoa powder, which I'm gonna sift right into here. And I mix the cocoa powder in with the dried fruits because it'll help separate the dried fruit pieces, because you don't want them sticking together in the date balls. Now, I'm not done yet, but I'm also gonna add some spices. This is totally optional. It's a holiday season, so I like to add sort of Christmassy spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. Don't overdo nutmeg. It doesn't taste great if you've put too much, but it's a wonderful combination with cinnamon. So just a touch. Just gonna sift all that, and the sifting helps distribute the nutmeg and the cinnamon and the cocoa so that you never really end up with, you know, a chunk of dry cocoa powder. And now just a little pinch of salt to balance out the sweetness. And I'm gonna just stir that around. All right, oh, you can add shredded dried coconut in here if you want, sunflower seeds, anything you like. Now, the date goes in, and this part, I am actually going to use my hands to knead this in. But if you have a stand mixer, like a KitchenAid, you can use the paddle attachment and get it to mix it for you. I just find it's quite hard on the motor. However, if you're gonna use your hands, make sure to wash them, and they're really, really, really clean, because these are not getting cooked. So, you know, this is it. So I'm gonna go wash my hands with soap before I start mashing these. Clean hands. Now, if you're thinking, well, why don't you wear gloves? I've tried that, and then what happened was the dates stick to the gloves, and as I pull, it like grabs onto my gloves. This is just the easiest way to do it. And I find it easier to just flatten out the dates first, and then put the dried fruit and nuts in it, and then just fold it and knead it like bread. When I made them for my friends a couple of years ago, I actually labeled them balls of labor and love. No kidding. When you are processing the dates, if you find the dates really dry and it was hard to get them going, I have had in the past to add just a tablespoon of hot water and let the dates soak in that hot water a little bit, and it helps the dates process. And that is it. Now, you want to taste this. If this is your first time, make sure you are happy with the flavor, you're happy with the ratio of nuts to fruit to spices and all this stuff. You can definitely adjust this to however you want. And now to portion these out, I just find these little dishers really handy. This is a size 60, just FYI. Just like that. And I find that if you keep wetting your disher every once in a while, it prevents the dates from sticking too much to it. All right, so now I'm gonna roll them into balls and dust them into coconut, and they're gonna be pretty and snowy and beautiful. I like to wet my palm just a little. It helps with the sticking. You don't have to. And just roll them in your hands until they're nice and round. And then I've got two options today for roll-ins. I've got some desiccated coconut. Make sure you get the small, fine ones because that's gonna look fluffy and cute. The big chunky ones don't look as nice. And then I've also got some pistachios if you want some nice green ones. This is gonna be a little more expensive. So options for you. Now I like to make sure I really press it down. And that's it. Look how cute those are. And they look like snowy little chocolatey balls. Now, these are healthier than your traditional baked goods because there's no refined flour in here. Now, mind you, dates do have a lot of sugar, so I'm not saying these are diabetic friendly. However, they also have a lot of fiber, and that fiber will help sort of slow down your sugar absorption a little bit, so they're still not as guilty as the other ones. Look how cute these are. There's white ones and green ones, and if you want to roll them in other things, it's up to you. Now, I'll show you how I packaged these for gifts a couple years ago. So I got these cute little bags from the Japanese dollar store, and then I just put a few, you know, and these are really heavy. So I think I just gave a couple to each person, and then I fold it, and then I got these stickers also from the Japanese dollar store. I think these came together. And you seal it like that. And then I made a little label. Balls of labor and love. This is from 2 years ago. And like, this is literally what I called them. I listed all the ingredients in the back. So if anyone's got questions about what's in them, they can check out that list. And there are these little wooden packs. Look how cute these are. There you go. That's how I packaged them. This is something you can also do as well. I'll put them in mason jars, whatever you like. Now, time to eat. Oh, the smell of the coconut. So good. It's sweet and sticky, so it feels super sinful with that chocolate flavor. But it's not too sweet because of all the nuts we added. You notice I added more nuts than I did dried fruit, and that was intentional. And I have a hard time believing that there's no added sugar in here, no flour. It's all just fruit and nuts and chocolate. By the way, here's a little fun fact. Did you know that dates are actually picked off the trees just like that? They're not dried separately. They ripen and dry right on the trees. Cool, huh? So I hope this gives you a good idea for something you can make for the holidays. It's super fun to make. You can get your friends involved, your kids involved. I got Adam involved. And the recipe will be on paiskitchen.com. Again, that's a brand new website where I put all of my non-Thai recipes from Pai's Kitchen. So make sure to check that out. And I will see you next time for your next delicious adventure. And you get your friends involved.